Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blue Wave channel, Ep.23. I'm joined with my co-host, Jack. How you doing, Jack?
Mate, I'm absolutely buzzing. One of the best performances I've seen from our club in probably 4 or 5 years, I think. I literally don't even know what to say. I'm absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, same here. You're sporting your new top as well. I love it. Big up your old man as well. I know he's going to watch this in due time as well. So big up to Jack's dad. You done well today. We're also joined by a good friend of mine all the way in Canada. TJ, how are you doing, my bro?
Hey guys, first of all, thanks so much for having me on. What a game, what a performance. I'm just so excited. This is what a day so far.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I'm absolutely, like Jack said, I'm ecstatic. I just want everyone to know happy Patrick's Day to all our Irish followers. This is the first time ever I've tried a Guinness in my life, so I'm gonna crack this open for the show ahead. I don't know how this is gonna taste, but we move.
Yeah, I thought St. Patrick's
Day nice and cold. It's a bit stronger than usual beer. Yeah, that's not bad, you know. It's got a nice kick to it, a bit like Emerson last couple minutes. But yeah, let's get the show underway. Right, I'm going to come to our guest first, TJ. What was your thoughts on the overall performance today, bro?
Well, I was saying beforehand with this game, this is probably one of Chelsea's biggest games in the last few seasons. Like, obviously, we haven't made it this far in the Champions League. We haven't made it past this stage in the Champions League for a few seasons. One of the best teams in Europe up until we faced them. And you know what? No, it required everybody to step up and perform, and that's exactly what happened. Every single player on that pitch played their skin out. Like, it was amazing. I was really proud of everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think everyone just played for the shirt tonight. I think the last time we was in the quarterfinals of the Champions League was the 2013-2014 season. I think that's correct. Yeah, that is absolutely massive, and that was 7 years ago. I was 20. You know, that's massive. Like, absolutely buzzing. Jack, my car, look at the smile on you tonight, boy. I love it, bro. He's in a good mood, boy. How was your from the game today?
Yeah, I mean, it was just brilliant, to be honest. Every single player went out there. They obviously had a role to execute, and they did it to absolute perfection. I mean, you look at that defense, it really wasn't too dissimilar to the one that played against Barcelona all those years ago, 3 years ago, and just got made to look like absolute amateurs. What Thomas Tuchel has come in and done to our defence isn't getting spoken about enough. We've kept 6 clean sheets in 7 games. They're not world beaters, those defenders. They're competent defenders in the right system, I think, is the best way to kind of put it. But what they're doing is nothing. Like, what he has done to them is just unbelievable. People would have been scared about Marcus Alonso kind of playing tonight, but he didn't have a care in the world against Trippier and whoever else he was even up against. I think it was Llorente or someone. It just unbelievable, to be honest. Like, the defensive structure he's got in place, we managed to snuff out one of the best attacks in the world, because Atletico aren't that side they kind of used to be, where they'd sit back, soak up pressure and then kind of hit you on the counter. They've scored a lot of goals this season, and Luis Suarez got like completely pocketed. You barely would have known he was even playing. He got subbed off in like the 60th minute, which I don't think anyone was kind of expecting. So I'm so proud of the players. They had a plan to execute, and they went out there and did exactly that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And for me, like you're saying with Tuchel, the way he's got the defense moving at the moment just goes under the radar. I think after that game today, he's gone now 10 hours without a goal conceded, which is an unbelievable stat. That is incredible. And even if you look at the defense, we had to deal with Thiago Silva being injured. And I think some people are a bit wary with Christensen coming in, and Christensen's been absolutely mustard. Then before kickoff today, he was unwell, and everyone was a bit like, "Oh, no Christensen." I know a few people eyebrows were raised with Zuma playing through the middle, but he was dominant today, and he done a really good performance. And I'm going to start on the back and just big up Antonio Rüdiger, because he just, from the get-go, he just wasn't allowing no player, no time on the ball. He's so strong. He just weren't having none of it, was he, really? And the way he brought the ball forward, he knew when to bring the ball forward. He knew when to clear the ball. And for me, I thought he's been immense under Thomas Tuchel. I'm going to come to my co-host, Jack. How did you feel, Antonio, today, bro?
Yeah, I mean, not just today, but also in the first leg. I don't know if I'm meant to be swearing. I don't think we are, but he was just an absolute shithouse for both legs. Like everything he did today, you know, he just was an absolute nuisance. In the first leg, you know, he was kicking players, he was pushing players over. That little elbow that Savage kind of put into him, he made a massive, massive deal out of it. Got the guy sent off, and the minute he was sent off, you know, the tie was over. But he didn't like he had a problem in the world, to be honest. You know, he shoved Suarez over in the first half, you know, like he was a sheet of paper. He was just absolutely brilliant in both legs. You know, it was a really, really, really commanding performance. And without a doubt, that is his best performance in a Chelsea shirt. You know, a few years ago, I thought he was looking like he could be a really, really top kind of centre-back, but he struggled ever since then. But since he's kind of coming under Tuchel in that left centre-back position, he's been outstanding. And that was a player I was heavily, heavily against, like featuring whatsoever after kind of all those stories and articles kind of came out about, you know, how Lampard's time ended. But, you know, he's had a remontada. He's been nothing short of exceptional. And tonight kind of epitomised that. You know, I thought he was he was a real leader today. You know, he was onto every kind of loose ball. Physically, he was just so dominant to anyone who kind of came up against him. So just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, spot on. He's so aggressive, and I love that about him. He don't give you no time. And I think there was a moment in when there was a ball from Trippier over to Suarez, and I think the commentators picked up on it. And Suarez could have probably had a little bit more time. Whether he was offside or not, we'd never know. But it was like Suarez was a bit scared to bring the ball down because he was wary of a Rüdiger or Zuma coming into him. And that's what I mean. When I grew up playing football, they always told you, let the other players know you're there. From the get-go, Rüdiger did that. Going to come to our guest, TJ. How did you feel Antonio did today, bro?
Yeah, no, first of all, Jack summed it up brilliantly, I think. Rüdiger over both legs has been playing really, really, really well. And under Tuchel especially, he's really redeemed himself from past poor performances under Lampard. But yeah, no, today it was a really good performance from him. You were just saying, Jay, like a defender's job, you got to make the striker aware that you're there. And that was one of the things I used to criticize Rüdiger about a lot, is that he was too soft at times, especially for the type of player he is, the type of aggressive forward player he is as a defender. But no, he made himself. This is Luis Suarez we're talking about. This is the striker that actually gives almost any defender on the planet a nightmare. And yeah. Rüdiger sent him gone. He was done. 15 minutes. Not many defenders can say that they've done that to Luis Suarez. But yeah, no, what he's done has been brilliant. And one more thing I'm going to add is about the leadership aspect. I mean, with the Champions League, considering they don't really play fans' voices as much with no fans, like in the Premier League, we're hearing the players their voices a lot more. And Rüdiger was screaming the entire game. He was being a proper leader out there, and that's one of the biggest things I've been wanting to see under Tuchel. We're seeing players take accountability finally, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, no, spot on there. And I think as well, within the last year or so, maybe we kind of lacked leaders within the side. I feel like the players are stepping up. And like you said with Rüdiger today, you could hear his voice be known. Normally, we hear Tuchel on the sideline talking in German, English, barking his orders. I think he was as calm as I was today watching the game. He just seemed so calm. And yeah, the players on that pitch today let it be. And I was absolutely proud of every single one of them. Another player I want to come to, who I've been critical in the past, and he was everywhere today. Honestly, everywhere. Surely there just weren't one of him on the pitch, because the way he was off the ground was unbelievable. and that is N'Golo Kante, Chelsea's number 7. What an absolute boy. I'm going to come to you, Jack. What was your thoughts today? Because he was magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know what Atletico are kind of capable of, especially when kind of someone like João Felix picks up the ball quite deep in the half. You know, several times he kind of drove at our defence, and the minute he kind of got within, I don't know, 5 yards of our box, Kante would just be there. It didn't matter where he was on the pitch prior to him getting the ball. He would just be there. He'd snuff up the ball, and it'd be like nothing had ever happened. And that happened like 5 or 6 times. It was like unbelievable. Where it looked like Atletico maybe were finally going to kind of break us down on like a potential kind of dangerous break. And then he would just come out of nowhere and he'd just destroy whatever kind of attack they had by themselves. He was just absolutely extraordinary tonight, to be honest. Right at the end there, he deserved an assist. He dribbled through 3 or 4 of their players, better than most of our wingers could even do. You know, he was just absolutely unbelievable. And the fact that people were kind of talking about selling him, I was never quite on the boat of selling him. I mean, if an offer had come in, I could see why we would have been tempted. But after performances like tonight, if you manage that guy well, he is still one of the best midfielders in the world by a way. Like he is that good. And whilst I don't necessarily agree with us giving, you know, the number 7 to midfielders that aren't kind of pop up with goals, there was something about Ramirez and there's something about Kante that is just so right with that number. And as good as Rüdiger was, I think today we saw an N'Golo Kante performance that was kind of going back to his very kind of prime in 2016, 2017. He was just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, spot on. And you know what? Really, really great comparison with Ramirez, because they both had that engine to get about the pitch. And maybe Ramirez was maybe a bit more better offensively, whereas Kante's better defensively, but they're so similar in terms of the way they got around the pitch and they let it be known. And yeah, absolutely world-class performance on Kante. And to be fair, if you look at the goal, we're going to mention our front three. It was actually Kante who won the header to play the ball to Havertz as well. So fair play to him there. TJ, how did you feel N'Golo played today, mate?
Yeah, what can I say? It was a vintage performance from him. Like Jack said, back in Conte's title winning season, that was prime Kante right there. And it was a really, really, really well played game from him. He covered every blade of grass as usual. He won every single ball. Like, I swear I could not count how many, like, I can't count on my fingers how many times he intercepted a ball and then just carried it forward, like, to start a counterattack. That was, like Jack said, that was one of the reasons how we got our first goal. And yeah, no, he's been absolutely immense. I'm really happy with him. And I like the way Tuchel's managing him. He understands how important of a player he is and how he's at this age now where he can start to receive injury problems like he did last season. So with players like Jorginho, like Billy Gilmore, like Kovacic, as well as Kante, it's actually perfect that we have different formulas for different games. For example, the first game, we needed to break down Atletico Madrid to get a goal. They're going to sit back hella on us. So Kante wasn't the right player for that game. Kante, and then Jorginho getting actually suspended for this game was kind of a blessing in a way, because Kante is the perfect guy for this kind of game, as we saw today. I have really nothing else to say. Like, he's just phenomenal today.
Yeah, no, really, really well said, TJ. And I think something I and a lot of other people were concerned about, of all our midfield partnerships, it's always kind of been Kante and Kovacic for me that have struggled together. I don't know why. I mean, on paper they shouldn't do, but tonight they were absolutely electric. But we're going to come to the comments here for the first proper question of the night. It's from Chris Gagg. We've got to address this sooner or later, so let's get out of the way early. He says, if this draw opens up for us in the quarterfinals, can we honestly start to believe Porto or Liverpool? And I'm backing us to get to the semi-finals. What are your thoughts? Well, I mean, straight away, I think of all the teams we could have possibly got in this round of 16, Atletico Madrid were the ones who would have wanted to be furthest kind of away from. You know, they're top of La Liga. They played some brilliant stuff earlier in the season, and yet we've completely neutralized them over 2 legs. Forget about us for a second. If I'm another team in this competition, I don't want to be facing Chelsea right now. I like to think that us, Man City and Bayern are on another level to most of the other teams in the competition at this point. I mean, like, the way we just destroyed Atletico over these 2 legs, like, it's just absolutely brilliant, to be honest. So I'm going to come to you first, TJ. What are your thoughts on a potential kind of quarterfinal draw? How are you feeling about us going into the latter stages of the competition?
Well, yeah, no, like you said, when we first drew Atletico, that was obviously the one team we did not want to draw. And unfortunately for us, we got them. But the fact that we overcame them in 2 legs, outplayed them in every department for 180 minutes says all you need to know. And like you said, we have what it takes to go anywhere in this competition. I feel like, especially like the biggest thing that sums us up is like we played Southampton before the first leg and we played Leeds before the second leg. Two kind of more poor performances from us in the league, but we're really showing like that we're a different level in the Champions League, especially against a team like Atletico.
Yep. Yeah, really, really nicely put, TJ. And I said at the weekend, you know, if we beat Atletico somehow on Wednesday, the last thing in the world anyone's going to kind of be actually concerned about is what happened on Saturday. And I don't think anyone has a care in the world about what happened against Leeds now. You know, what an unbelievable, you know, kind of answer to that. And it obviously didn't go to plan, but they bounced back straight away, just as they did against Southampton. I'm going to come to my co-host, Jay, here. Jay, what are your thoughts on Chris's question?
For me, give me anyone. I'm not bothered. I'll play. I don't mind the draw on Friday. Obviously, we have our teams that we'd rather draw. I'd absolutely love to get Liverpool and let them out of the Champions League, because it would just mean a lot, especially with past and previous matches between Liverpool and the Champions League. But for me, there's not a team that I wouldn't face right now, especially the way we're playing. Like you said, Atletico Madrid, the top of the Liga right now. And before this tie come about, they was probably the last team we wanted to face in terms of how they set up. We didn't give them a sniff over 180 minutes. They had nothing, you know. And I thought the first game was unbelievable, like Tommy Team masterclass. But today was even better. Like we just, from the get-go, we was passing the ball around. The balls were crisp. Like the link-up play was really well. The defense was putting challenges and just all round just quality. And I don't think there was one part, not even 10 minutes in those 2 games where I felt, oh, Atletico looking a bit dangerous, you know. And even if you look at our last 5-6 games, the teams we've played, and we haven't conceded no goals. And none of them teams have had a sniff. So for me, bring it on. I'll take Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG. I'll take them on Friday. Give us the best, because it only means we're getting an easier game in the final. So for me, it's roll on Istanbul, as Laura said in the comments.
I love that, Joe. I love that confidence. And I do agree with you to an extent. I think especially the way we kind of function as a team at the moment. Defensively, we're solid. Attack-wise, we're not quite as good. But in the league, it's a pain if you don't win a game. Like if you're going to draw games, it becomes an issue. But in the Champions League, it's a different kettle of fish. You know, you're always still going to be in with a chance of you drawing games, because you're just going to have to play that second leg and maybe grab a goal there. And I think that very much kind of does suit our team and the way we played. And you obviously said, you spoke about our defence there. I think it'd be criminal if we didn't speak about the performance of the man in goal tonight. And I'll admit, I'll hold my hands up. I wasn't sure if he was 100% the right man for Chelsea, but the last few games I've started to kind of be swayed. Eduard Mendy, I'll come to you first this time, Jay. Talk me through his performance. Is he good enough to be our number one?
You know what? You put it really well there, because you know me. I'm a massive fan of Donnarumma with the links, and maybe I felt a bit. I weren't too confident in Mendy. Like he's done really well. Don't get me wrong, but I felt it was in terms of where he went from Kepa to Mendy, kind of. I don't know. I felt like, all right, yeah, it's a step up, so we might be getting ahead of ourselves because the defense have been really well. But last game, you saw him against Leeds at the weekend, made some incredible saves, probably arguably one of the best players on the pitch. And then today, was it from João Felix in the last 5 minutes of extra time, like added on minutes? Absolute unbelievable save, you know? And he the thing is with Mendy, right, is he is really good on the ball, but he has you nervous, you know? But today,
I think it's his height.
Yeah, Yeah, it is. It's the height, and it worries you. I don't want to talk about it too much. I know Diego Simeone is probably crying away tonight. We should have had a penalty. We'll let him cry and digest that. But yeah, he was magnificent tonight and absolutely banging saves. And that is now 20 clean sheets in 32 games for Chelsea for Eduard Mendy. So big up Mendy. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah,
you, TJ.
That is just an absolutely extraordinary stat, to be honest. And looking back in hindsight, I feel like a bit of an idiot because at times Kepa used to make really average saves and I'd be off my feet applauding him just out of shock that he'd actually kind of made the save. With Mendy, there were several kind of shots tonight and in previous kind of games that I wouldn't have expected our previous goalie to kind of save. It'd have been a nice bonus if he'd done it, but Mendy has looked kind of comfortable at all points, whether it's a deflected shot or, a shot that's kind of fizzed into him. He looks in complete control all the time. But we've had your response on that one. TJ, what did you make of Mendy tonight and in general? And is he the man to be our number one going forward?
Yeah, more of the same like you guys. When we first signed him, I mean, we were in the market for a keeper long in the summer. We didn't really know who we were going to get. We ended up with Mendy for a relatively cheap price in today's market. And I was at that point, I was like, okay, I've got no expectations for him. We don't really know what we're going to get out of him. And considering we had Kepa as our last keeper and the kind of the season we had last season, we didn't have much expectations. But yeah, like I'm sitting here sometimes like in games, like he's making saves that I wouldn't normally expect our previous keeper to save, and he saved them, and it's kind of getting me off my seat just as much as the goal does. Like some of the saves he makes are brilliant, and the thing about him is he makes himself big. As big of a frame he has, he makes himself big. He makes himself an imposing presence on strikers, and it makes it really hard to score a goal. And I also want to touch on his distribution because a lot of people are kind of critical on that. Obviously, he's not the greatest passer of the ball, but I have to say, coming from a different team where I don't think he's ever really had that kind of pressure to play out with his feet, and he's come in and done it in such a short time and done pretty well overall. Very few mistakes. Obviously, every keeper is going to run into a few little slip ups here and there, as we've seen with him actually this season. But when you play out of the back, but I have to say, considering what he's like, the kind of career he's had, it's been a quick turnaround to be able to play like this. So I have to say props to him. If we are going to sign a new keeper in the summer, obviously it'd have to be a world-class keeper. But if not, I mean, I have full faith in Mendy. I'm really happy with him this season. He's been one of our best players. Yeah,
no, really, really well said, both of you, to be honest. And I said this on Saturday. I think if we do replace a keeper this summer, it's Kepa that gets replaced. Mendy, without a doubt, has earned himself a spot in the team in some form next year. Whether we kind of go down the route that we've seen Manchester City and Barcelona have in the past, whereby we have two really strong keepers and we end up having someone like Mendy playing in the cup games, in the domestic cups and the Champions League, and then we have another figure such as Donnarumma playing in the Premier League, I don't know, but I do know I'm fairly certain that we will replace Kepa in some form, whether that's with someone who's potentially an upgrade or a challenge to Mendy. It's not too clear, but it does make sense we do kind of pick someone that would challenge him. But for me, Mendy has been just brilliant, to be honest. Like, again, you can't really fault the bloke. But Chris Garrett's coming here with another good question. The guy is on fire tonight. Gents, Alonso, weaknesses aside, is there genuinely a better left wing back in the league? Don't jump into it. Think on it. Left wing back, I don't think there's better. And I think this is a good question because after Saturday, I think we certainly all would have probably expected Alonso to come back in for Chilwell. Alonso was very, very good in that first leg. So to see him start tonight wasn't a big surprise. And I think the fact that he was playing against a Spanish side, he's obviously Spanish. He's from Madrid. He would have really kind of liked the challenge of tonight. But I'll come to you first, TJ. What are your thoughts on Chris's question and then also Alonso as a player in general?
Actually, it's a big talking point in the Chelsea community. I mean, Alonso, we've seen him play at left wing back in a few different systems. We've seen him play at left back, and he's definitely been a lot poorer as a left back. So, and as you can see, like this season, he's out of it the whole season until Tuchel came in. He started him in his second game, and he played a pretty good game, I have to say, against Burnley that first game back, but. Yeah, no, I feel like as a left wing back, when you've got that kind of protection in a player like Rüdiger, who's got that pace to cover for you, and then you have a great reader of the game in the center of a back three that covers for Rüdiger if he happens to mess up somewhere. It adds a lot more security for a player like Alonso to give him that freedom. And I was talking to one of my friends who's got who does some tactical threads and stuff, but Alonso tends to, as a left wing back with his height, he ends up being almost like a second striker at times when we're playing. So he gives us that extra edge going forward. And the fact that he doesn't need to really track back as much or as urgently as, say, in a back four, it helps us a lot kind of going forward, especially in a 3-4-3, where we have had some complaints about we're not that great at attacking. We're still a bit just jointed in attack. So Alonso gives us kind of something else in a game. Chilwell still is, I think he's being decent as a left wing back. So I like the competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And for me as well, I think Alonso, we all knew about Alonso from his time with Kante as a left wing back. He's magnificent. And he's come in, and you know what? Chilwell has got an absolute fight on his hands, because today he was incredible. And your opinion on him, Jack, before I get on to the attackers. How did you feel he played today? And what do you think about Chris's question?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good question, because genuinely, I've always said this, Alonso is hand on heart world class in a back three at left wing back. The guy's unbelievable. There's very few players in the world that are actually better than him in that position. And I think sometimes when you look at a three at the back, it can be easy to dismiss players. I feel like when you kind of look at a centre back and a three at the back, you kind of say, oh, they look great in a three at the back, but it's easier to kind of defend in that. But when you look at the left wing back position, you know, we've seen how good Chilwell can be in a four at the back. But for me, despite what kind of TJ said, he doesn't look anywhere near as comfortable in that three at the back. You know, I think he's quite poor in that position. But Alonso, on the other hand, he excels, and he has played that position almost his entire career. And the bloke is brilliant there. So I don't think we actually appreciate enough how good he actually is in that position. I did a video about this on my channel a little while ago. And I think if we were to sell one of our left backs, it should be Emerson, because the tactical versatility Alonso offers in a back three, you know, he's a serious asset in that position. We can't get rid of that guy. In the event that we do end up playing a three at the back, he will feature. And he's a very, very good and very stable option to kind of have there. I feel like once in every kind of 10 games, he does sometimes revert back to his old self. And he can be pretty horrendous in those games. But for nights like tonight, you know, he was defensively sound. Offensively, he's pretty good. His only real issue is a lack of pace, which can kind of affect him, you know, both attacking and defensive wise. But for me, he was another solid performer tonight. It's difficult to kind of say anyone played badly tonight. They were all so good.
Yeah, no, 100%. Couldn't agree. And Kyle in the comments has got you mixed up for an American, TJ. Sorry about that one, bro. Canadian. It's Kyle.
I've had it lots. It's fine. I'm just happy with the love. That's all.
But yeah, I want to move now. Listen, the comments, you're getting a lot of love, bro. Trust me. I want to move now on to our attackers, because I felt our attackers done really well tonight, and a lot of people were skeptical with the front three we played. I was a little bit with Ziyech. I maybe thought Cho could have played today, but again, Ziyech can show on the main stage, which he has done in the past against the likes of Real Madrid, even Chelsea and Tottenham. He does perform, and you know what, he delivered today. And I'm going to talk about him first before I get on to the other two. He took his goal really well. He was pressing. He played some really neat balls in between the lines. And generally, I feel like maybe I think that goal will give him the confidence he needs, and he needs to now get a run in the side and actually showcase his worth and prove a lot of people wrong, including myself, which I'll hold my hands up about. Couldn't be any more happier about, by the way. I'm going to come to our guest, TJ. How did you feel Hakeem played today, bro?
Yeah, no, Ziyech, that was an entertaining game from him today, I have to say. Now, listen, I've been kind of critical of him of late, as have most people. And today, especially today, like I'd say in our first 20 minutes of dominance against Atletico, he was probably like our worst player at that time, in my opinion. I might get some hate on that.
Yeah.
I'll take it. But yeah, no, for me. Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I'll take it. No problem. But yeah, I felt he was probably like one of the worst players at the start of our game in our dominance. But as soon as he scored that goal, I swear he just switched on like a lamp and turned into like the Ajax Ziyech that played in the UCL. That was the Ziyech that played for the rest of the game, and it went from like a 5 out of 10 performance to a 9. He was actually unplayable after that goal, and it was a really well taken goal, by the way. Even with Oblak in net, he still almost didn't score, but it was well taken. But no, he played really well. Played some absolutely beautiful through balls. And obviously we'll get to Werner later, I'm sure. But that Ziyech and Werner combination is really important in a counterattacking team. Not saying we're a counterattacking team, but in a game like today, it was really good. And yeah, no, I was really happy with Ziyech overall. I hope he can kick on.
Yeah, no, same. I really hope he can kick on. And how do you feel about Hakim today, bro?
Yeah, I think it was a really, really fair assessment from TJ, to be honest. First 15 minutes, he looked electric. You know, when we signed that guy, we knew he was good in the league, but, you know, it's the Eredivisie. You're never really sure how that's actually going to kind of transition to the Premier League. One thing he did always have going for him, it was a massive standout stat, was his performances in the Champions League. Every time he's kind of played in it, you know, he's lit it up, to be honest. You know, he was kind of a talisman for Ajax. And for the first 15 minutes, I was thinking, wow, what a shout from Tuchel. Then I don't know what happened. It was like a switch had flicked. He became pretty poor. It was the performance we kind of got used to seeing from him under Tuchel when he's played in that position. Then he got that goal, and it completely kind of changed his momentum once again. And I thought he played a really, really good second half. You know, when at one point he kind of cut in, and I thought he was going to bend it into the top left corner. It was a little bit more central in the end. Oblak managed to get a pretty comfortable kind of hand to it. But he was brilliant tonight. I think overall it was an impressive performance. I loved the cockiness of his celebration. I think he's always been a very cocky kind of player. So to stand up, put his hands out like that, when the bloke has not scored in like 4 months, you know, I think it was October 31st he last kind of scored. So for him to kind of do that, turn around and do that, I love that. That is a bit of me. That's the sort of player we kind of need in this Chelsea side.
Yeah, no, spot on. We've even got the pic of Ziyech with a little Irish beard and Irish hat from that celebration for St. Patrick's Day. Absolutely loved it. And that is what you like from your players, you know. That's what I mean. I feel like he stepped, once he got that goal, and I've been saying it about Werner. I'm saying once he gets to goal, we're seeing more confident in front of goal. Ziyech got that goal, and he had the beating of the right back. I think there was one moment when he was on the flank, right by the byline. He done a touch, left the defender for good, and slipped through Timo for an opportunity. And I was all right. Ziyech is looking a bit more comfortable now. You know, he's looking confident. But yeah, for me, good from him. You wouldn't have known it once you watched his post-match interview. To be fair to the boy, but yeah, moving on. I just wonder, before I get to Timo as well, because these two are probably my favourite two players along with Mason. And I was absolutely buzzing signed them, my two German hitmen. I just want to mention Kai Havertz, because for me, he was brilliant today. He was working the channels. He was always available for a pass. He made some great balls in the lines. He played the ball, of course, that put in Timo. And there was just certain times when he's in the middle of the park, and you know, in the middle of the park is one of the main areas of the football field, right? He was just leaving the field good. I think there was a matter of 3 minutes. He got two of their centre backs yellow carded for just swift turning and good movement. So I'm going to come to our guest TJ. How did you feel Kai played today, bro?
Yeah, I was one of them who was celebrating like mad when we first signed him. He's been one of those young players that I've been kind of paying closer attention to, especially last season, and he really, really excited me. Obviously, I'm not a professional player, but when I play in my own like leagues out here, I see similarities in the way we play. But no, I have to say, like, he's got world-class vision, which is one thing we've kind of lacked. Not necessarily from like center mids, but kind of like those players that take up the half spaces. We haven't really had that in recent seasons. He's got a good shot. He's good. He's a great finisher, and all like he's had it tough this season, obviously with COVID, with all that stuff, with some injuries. A first season is going to take some time to adjust, and there's no doubt in my mind he was going to come good. And he hasn't scored in the past 3 games, but he's been playing out of his skin. And today, especially, probably was the best, even better than Everton, I have to say. He was everywhere, just like Kante, in my opinion. This guy, people think he's lazy by the way he runs, but he's literally everywhere on the pitch. He just goes about it really quietly. He's on the left side 1 minute. Next thing you know, he's out on the right side. He's involved everywhere. He played some really good through balls, especially in the first half to Alonso. Didn't end up in a anything, but some good flicks. And yeah, like Jack said, he won some fouls a couple times, got them yellow carded. He soaks up the pressure really well, and he takes hits, and he's going to be such an asset for this team. I'm backing him all the way.
Yeah, I love that, because I know you boys will know I'm a massive Havertz fan, and it's just I'm just so pleased that Tuchel is trusting him. Because Tuchel could have easily played Giroud from the get-go tonight. And I know Chris in the comments is another one we spoke on from the get-go. We've been wanting to see Havertz and Timo just get a run of games together. And yeah, he was everywhere. And like you said, TJ, the way he moves, I think, I think because he's got that height, it's a bit, people think, he's a bit lazy. But even if you look at the game on Saturday, he covered the most distance. Only Kante covered more distance. The Chelsea shirt on Saturday, and again today the numbers are probably just as high. Jack, how did you feel he played today, and did you think he made a big difference outside?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you're one of the Atletico midfielders, I think you'd hate to kind of play against him. The touches he was kind of taking around them, they were literally left with no choice other than to hack the guy to pieces. I think he won 2 or 3 yellow cards through tackles on him, and it probably could have been more. I think the ref was pretty lenient with some of their challenges at points, but he played really, really well. He played a key part in our first kind of goal. I would have liked to maybe see him shoot a couple more times. I don't think he's the most selfish player in the world at the moment, but I'm sure he'll kind of grow into, his kind of clinicality will grow as time goes on. But he was absolutely brilliant tonight again. I've seen a few stats about him and specifically how he kind of struggles in the first half of the season traditionally, and then he really kind of sets it alight in the second half. When you kind of look at everything that's happened, all the stuff he's kind of gone through, COVID, no fans, a big transfer, it's no surprise that he struggled in the first half of the season, but he's definitely kind of come to light the last kind of 4 or so games. And I've been really, really impressed by him. And today was another very, very impressive performance. It was near enough faultless. So I can't wait to see what he actually can kind of accomplish in the next few weeks. It's unfortunate that we've got that international break kind of coming up. There's been times in the past where the international break has kind of come up and you're thinking, oh, thank God, like we don't have to watch Chelsea play for a couple of weeks now. We don't have to, we're kind of safe from our embarrassment for a little bit. But right now, the high we're kind of on, I'm pretty gutted. And I think he would have really kind of stepped up in the weeks to come, but I'm sure he will anyway.
Yeah, no, spot on. And I think as well, I think as well, he can be a bit more direct. And I feel like at the moment, he's just getting into his strides. We'll start seeing more direct going forward the more he plays and builds confidence. I think at the moment, he's not even like he plays risk-free either, because he plays some really good passes, But I think in time, the more he gets more comfortable, when we're seeing with each game, he's growing and growing. I think we will start to see him taking more of a risk in terms of having a dig, because we know he's got a wonderful left foot. And I have no doubts that he will be a main hit, especially going into the back end of the season. As you saw for Leverkusen last season, he was really good at the back end. And then obviously we have got Timo, who led the line today. And he was making some unbelievable runs. He was. And some of his touches, I think it was the first 2 minutes, he done a little flick to Havertz. I was like, all right, Timo. looking confident. You know what I mean? He just, once he gets a goal, I'm telling you, that boy will get going. And in the words of Jam, hold tight, carefree Jam, he is like Dash, you know, incredible Dash, because that boy he can move, you know, he can move. So I'm going to come to my co-host first. How did you feel the Timo did?
Yeah, I think I agree with your assessment generally, Jay. Might be controversial, but I think there's times where we've made way too many excuses for the guy. There's times where he's had really poor performances, and to simply kind of make the runs that he's been doing, and generally kind of pressing, it's not really enough for a club like Chelsea. We're Chelsea at the end of the day. We're not Arsenal. We're not Tottenham. That's not really good enough for us. Tonight, I will make an exception to it. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. You know, he was crucial in the way he kind of pressed their centre backs. He really kind of stopped them kind of getting going, and you know. He is surprisingly kind of creative. I think technically he's certainly struggled to kind of adjust to the game at times, and I think we have maybe been a little bit lenient on him at times. You know, he is that little bit older than some of the other players that we've kind of signed. But tonight for me, he was absolutely kind of perfect. I mean, we're starting to trash Arsenal in the comments here, aren't we? Again, I don't know why we're bringing them up, even they've not been in this competition for 4 years or so, but. It is what it is. But on to you next, TJ. What did you make of Timo's performance today?
Oh, Jay, were you saying something?
Get a bit of Arsenal slander in while you can, TJ.
I was going to say, fair enough. Yeah. That's totally fair. Yeah, no, back. Oh, gosh.
No, go on.
Okay. Back to Timo quickly. Yeah.
It's fine, TJ.
So, back to Timo. I have to say, like, straight up, just to get straight to the point, Jack has been spot on about like how we haven't seen, even under Tuchel, there's been times where we haven't seen enough of him. But his two absolute standout performances against for Tuchel so far were today and Liverpool, and they were both kind of similar games. As we were obviously attacking Atletico, I'd say more than we did Liverpool. We were on the front foot a lot more. But Atletico were leaving spaces in behind because they were desperate for a goal, just like Liverpool in how the way they play. And that is playing to Timo's strengths. And when he's played these games, he's been absolutely fantastic. And it's never been a question about his attitude or work ethic because he's always put in the effort and the extra effort and drive for us. But no, today, like, he looked really confident on the ball. He was dribbling. He was making good passes. He was linking up. And I have to say our front three was really fluid as a whole, which is great to see. And yeah, no, like, I have to say, like, Ziyech and Werner, again, a great combination, especially Kai as well, where they can see these are players who can actually spot his runs right away, which we've been complaining about for a long time this season. Timo makes these runs that go unnoticed a lot. Same with Kai in recent games, but these kind of players, Kai and Ziyech, are able to spot them quicker, and it's actually literally what's got us this the first goal today. And so one thing about this goal, actually earlier I was talking to David about it and another guy. But do you guys notice the first goal like had how similar was it to Drogba's goal versus Barcelona in the semifinals? Like it felt so similar.
For Ramirez.
Yeah.
I like that comparison. I hadn't thought about that. It is very similar. The left-footed pass. I mean, Timo looked a lot more comfortable than Ramirez when he made that pass, but otherwise, there's definitely some similarities there. The scruffiness of the finish as well. That's a spot-on comparison.
Yeah. No, without doubt. We've got Daps talking about the best right in the league in the comments. I just want to say, you just reminded me. Cheers, mate. Yeah, Reece James was absolutely unbelievable today, wasn't he, lads? He was one of our vocal points in attack, especially in the first half. Everything come down that right-hand side. Him and Dave were brilliant. I think they've got a really good combination when we go forward, you know. Dave occupies that space left back. Something else to think about, which creates space for Reece James as well. And that's a really good option to have. And I love the way the Tuchel has Dave playing. And I don't know about you boys, but yeah, Reece was really brilliant today. So thank you, Daps, for bringing up the best right back in the league. Really appreciate that. Hope to see him at the Euro starting for England. My co-host Jack, how do you feel about Reece James today? Before we wrap it up.
I think he was good. Like, it wasn't his best performance. It wasn't his worst performance. He put some really, really good balls in, I think. I personally thought I thought it was a pretty standard performance from him, in my opinion. He didn't get exposed defensively whatsoever, I guess. I'm not a huge fan of him in that right wing back position, to be honest. I can see why Tuchel opted for that today. I do think his future lies in other positions. But I mean, there's literally nothing to complain about, was there, to be fair? So it was a good performance at the end of the day. But nothing too special. But it's just what we expect from the guy, I guess.
That is it. No, spot on. But yeah, all right, lads. Before we wrap it up and enjoy the rest of our night after an absolutely Tommy T masterclass and sending Diego Simeone packing, who would you like to draw on Friday evening? If you can pick one team, I'm going to give you both 15 seconds to think of a team that is left. I'm going to come to our guest TJ first. Who are you going for?
Straight away, I don't want an English team, not because we can't beat them, but I want to see us play like some of Europe's elite for sure. And for me, I'd say a draw I would really love to see would be against Borussia Dortmund. Give Erling Haaland that kind of audition ahead of this busy summer, and an ideal result would be us winning. He scores a goal, terrorizes our defense a bit, not too much, and yeah, good.
Love that. And Jack, what about you?
Yeah, I'd like the idea of Dortmund, but it's got to be Liverpool. You know, without Van Dijk, it's the equivalent of having a Big Mac without beef in it, isn't it? They're nothing to be afraid of, I don't think, whatsoever. I think they kind of play exactly into our hands. I would love to get one over on Jurgen Klopp, honestly. I really don't think they're anything special whatsoever. And the way their fans have kind of gone on for the last 18 months or so, I couldn't think of a sweeter team to kind of knock out and send packing from that competition.
I couldn't. Listen, to be fair with you, I'll take both those teams you both said. I love TJ talking about Haaland because it gives him that audition. If we can knock him out, it's like, yeah, look, Haaland, come over to the Chelsea, mate. You know where your bread's buttered. Do you know what I mean? But personally, I wouldn't mind. I think we've got Glenn in the comments saying about Real Madrid. I'd love to beat Real Madrid, especially what they've done to my boy Hazard as well. You know, like I'm sure Hazard would probably watch us beat them and probably be a bit happy in the back of his head. But yeah, that's my boys. You know, but the downside is I wanted to go to the Bernabeu in so many years in the Champions League, and to draw them when we can't go there would be a bit gutting. But yeah, personally, lads, I'll take anyone. The way we're playing at the moment, 10 hours without a goal conceded. We look solid. We look good. Tommy T has got everyone playing. I'm going to end it before I let Jack wrap it up. TJ's got a great quote from Tommy T that he wanted to say as well. So I'm going to let you drop that in there, TJ.
Oh yeah, this was, I can't remember who I was talking about, but this was, like when I cut out earlier, but I have to say, like, and just to add on to what Jay said, this is the Thomas Tuchel's quote that always lives with me is, I want to build a team that no one wants to play against. And we are living up to that, like in every department and every aspect so far under his reign. Like, I would hate to play against us right now. We are all over most teams we play, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. I can, you literally can't put it any better than the man himself, to be honest. And TJ, it's been an absolute pleasure kind of having you on. You've been a really, really kind of fresh addition to the show. I mean, as we say with every guest, we're going to have to get you back on again because, it's just been so much fun kind of chatting to you. And the energy tonight in the show has been absolutely brilliant. Once again, the comment section has been popping off the whole night. We can't thank you guys enough. It makes our job so much easier, as co-hosts, myself and Jay, having all this fresh material kind of constantly running through. But if you haven't already, please follow and subscribe to the Never a Foul YouTube channel. As you can see by the far right, we're also available on Twitter, Instagram, and Instagram. But if you haven't already, please give us a like and a comment on there. And we will be back on Sunday evening. We're playing Sheffield United at, I think, 6:15 p.m. So you can expect the show to go live around 8:30 p.m., I believe. But it's been an absolute pleasure tonight, guys, and up the Chelsea.